because I don't think that many people in the humankind most of the people like to do rather than to track what they do. So that was my first insight about sales. And second, a year later, when I became the head of sales of the company and I had several AEs and SDRs, I discovered how difficult it is to create alignment and consistency between them, whether it's about how do they qualify leads, how do they do discovery, the messaging of the company, and so on. And then I went and spoke with super smart people. They all told me, write a playbook, write a playbook, write a playbook. So I wrote the playbook, and then after I read the playbook, nobody used the playbook.
Welcome to our series entitled The IM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the IM Podcast. I am Mariah, your host, and today I'm excited. It's the first time we are chatting, we are meeting the co-founder and the CEO at WINN.AI, Eldad Postan-Koren. Hey, Eldad.
How are you?
How's everything going over there?
Amazing. Finally we have rain here in Israel.
Wow. So how's the first rain?
Good smell.
I can feel you, like the smell of the rain.
Yeah.
Okay. How's your team? How's WINN.AI?
Everybody's here, and I'm happy. I'm happy that things are moving well on our end. But how is startup is always about pushing, and to be very proactive. So you always have a place for improvement.
Very fast moving. Okay, so let's get started. I know you're excited to talk about WINN.AI, but would love to know you a bit more. So to those who don't, I know a lot of people have heard about you. You're very active on your socials.
Too active. Some people think that I'm too active.
But that's good. Well, doing good for you, right?
That's me.
Yeah. Okay, that's your personality. Talk to us more about you. What's your passion, personality?
Cool. So briefly about myself, I'm 37 years old. I have twins, 2.5 years old, Ed and Ariel. They are at least energetic as myself, even more. And I was 7 years in the Navy. I'm a former naval officer. I think that was my the best school on earth for leadership, for management, for everything almost that I know today. 7 years after I spent in the world of social entrepreneurship and political entrepreneurship. So I was the chairman of the Hebrew University Student Union. This is where I learned how to lead people not in a military framework. And I founded 2 NGOs. One of them was for youth at risk in Jerusalem that was up and running for 10 years almost. And then COVID came and killed us. And the second NGO called Shavot, which means worthy or equal in Hebrew, in a feminine way, and we run a leadership program for girls, and this is the opposite of the first NGO that died during COVID. This NGO flourished during COVID, and today we have more than 3,000 girls. That we work with them on a weekly basis from north of Israel to the south of Israel, and I founded the Shavot with my wife, Ronnie Postan-Koren, 5 years ago, and she's my partner on that. And then around the age of 30, I decided to do a shift in my life. I went to Brandeis University for Entrepreneurship program, came back, joined OurCrowd. It's an Israeli VC based in Jerusalem. And I was responsible for the portfolio development and value creation. And then I joined one of the OurCrowd portfolio company called DreaMed Diabetes, where I became the first salesperson and afterwards the COO of the company. And that this is where I got my motivation to build WINN.AI, that we're going to speak about it probably in a sec. So just to sum up, I'm an entrepreneur by heart, whether it's about social entrepreneurship, political entrepreneurship, startup entrepreneurship, and tech and business entrepreneurship. That's me in a nutshell.
So you were 7 years in the Navy. naval officer. Did you also learn sales there?
So it's a good question. Only the very, very basics. We have different departments on the Navy, on the ship. I was responsible for all of the electronics on the one hand and all of the warfare on the other hand. So like anti-missile missiles, electronic warfare. And so that was my responsibility. So like the defense of the ship. So the majority of the training was focused on learning about the different electronic, different anti-missile missile plans and things like that. So it was less about sailing and more about electronics.
So you really have to know the product
Yes,
right
by heart, by
there.
heart.
By
Yeah.
heart. Okay. What is your foray into sales? Like humble beginnings, what did you sell?
Yes. So at DreaMed Diabetes, they developed a decision support system for endocrinologists to help them to optimize the treatment of the insulin. So basically, it's a SaaS platform, but it is a medical device from the regulation point of view. I joined DreaMed, I think like 3 months after they got the FDA approval. I was responsible to take it to the market. So it was selling SaaS product, but in a very enterprisey, long cycle of selling to hospitals in the US. Don't do it. Never. Horrible.
Okay, it's not easy, right? Like
No.
going from hospital to hospital, talking to people. What do you hate most about like the door-to-door thing or talking?
No, so I love everything about it. I think that one of the challenges on my end was I had two challenges about this kind of sales. First, it's really slow. So to get into Boston Children's Hospital took me 2.5 years. Now, Boston Children's Hospital considered to be the number one based on the U.S. Hospital rank, number one hospital in the U.S. for endocrinologist diabetes, but it's a very long cycle. You have lots of stakeholders, whether it's IT and clinicians, and it's very complicated and takes like tons of time. And for me, as I love to run and I love to run fast. That was a bit of contradiction to my personality. That's one. And the second, I think that's also a challenge in the U.S. healthcare system is it's really hard to nail the business model. Like many hospitals and many departments in the hospital are not, it's funny to say that, but they are not used to pay for products because they get the product for free in order to adopt a different product. So or they are used to get reimbursed by the insurance company. So all of the business model in the world of healthcare is super complicated, not straightforward. And my humble mindset says that I'm giving you a product, you give me money, and that's it. It should make sense.
You're fast, you're bold. Do you say you're an extrovert? Yes?
For sure.
For sure. Okay. And that led you to building WINN.AI. So,
Yep.
yeah, your boldness, how do you pitch WINN.AI?
So basically, let's take one step back. And my experience in DreaMed Diabetes actually it was the first time that I did proper sales. And I fell in love with this profession, which is many times considered, I don't know, have bad stigma or bad mindset about it. So I fell in love with this profession, and I love the energy, the pace, the combination between EQ and IQ, and everything. Part of one thing, which is filling out the CRM. And filling out the CRM, it's boring and tedious, and I don't even find one nice thing about that because I don't think that many people, the humankind, most of the people like to do rather than to track what they do. So that was my first insight about sales. And second, a year later, when I became the head of sales of the company and I had several AEs and SDRs, I discovered how difficult it is to create alignment and consistency between them, whether it's about how do they qualify leads, how do they do discovery, the messaging of the company, and so on. And then I went and spoke with super smart people. They all told me, write a playbook, write a playbook, write a playbook. So I wrote a playbook, and then after I read the playbook, nobody used the playbook. I felt that that's also broken. And those were my two main motivation to build WINN.AI. First, to solve the problem of account executive and SDRs and salespeople in general about filling out the CRM. And the second one is for the CEO and the CROs and the VP sales that suffer from lack of adoption of the playbook. This is why WINN.AI came to life, and it's a real-time assistant for salespeople. What we know to do is four things. It's an official Zoom app currently, but we are also expanding this the coverage of the different platforms that we are able to support. In real time, we know to do a couple of things. First, to put the right agenda on the right side of the screen. So if it's discovery call, it's negotiation, demo, closing, whatever it is, you have the right agenda on the right side of the screen. Second, in real time, based on the conversation, like similar to what we speak now, I can tell the salesperson, hey, you cover that, you cover that, you cover that, you cover that, you cover that from the predefined agenda, and you have 10 last minutes and you haven't discussed next steps. So this really helps to create the alignment between the different team members. Third, is to capture the notes for the salesperson. So it's in contrary to give just the full transcription, which is around 200 sentences, and it's really hard to digest it. We are looking during the conversation, each sentence, okay, maybe it could be related to this category or that category or this talking point. So we do that and help them to capture the notes. And last but not least is when the conversation is done to push everything to the CRM. So the overall idea is like utilizing the momentum of the end of call, having a whole new experience of productivity for salespeople and for their managers.
To those people who are listening, you should watch out the YouTube version of this podcast because you get a tip or get how Eldad really sell. I can imagine how you sell. Are you
funny because we built WINN.AI for the world, but first I built it for myself. I hate to fill out the CRM, so I really want this product. So I really believe in this product. I really believe in our mission. And, let's take two steps back. I think that if we will be able to take from people their manual work and give them option to sell more, have more time with their family, have more hobbies, or have more fun in their life, I think that's a great mission.
Right. Take the tedious work, the repetitive tasks from the salespeople so they can focus more on sales, building relationships, right? So do you have any, how big is the problem of salespeople? Do you have any story
99% of the salespeople suffer from that.
Yeah, I've seen your website, how it works. I mean, the wonders that you do. You don't really have to take notes or worry about things. It's there. Yeah. Tell us about your impact to salespeople. Can you give us figures or stats or something?
Yeah, so we are not we are up and running less than a year now. So I'm not I'm not in a situation that I can tell you, okay, we changed the world. No. And it takes time to build the foundation, that's for sure. I think that from what we see now, two main effects. First, we give the salesperson a whole new, as I mentioned, experience where when the conversation is done, it takes them, instead of, I wrote the notes and I'm going to go back to them, if I will go back to them sometime. So today, the majority of our user, 4 minutes after the call is done, by average, they're getting to our platform, and then 4 minutes after that, they are filling out the CRM. So the overall experience is 8 minutes after the call is done, you have all of your notes taken. Now, this is mind-blowing because first, it takes much less time per sales call. And the average in the market and in the industry said that salespeople waste between 1 hour to 2 hours a day on the CRM. So that's one huge impact, but also the timing and the fact that we do it right away after the call is done really helps to increase the level of confidence about the data, and that's also super relevant and super important for the CRM hygiene problem. So that's one end. The other end is the knowledge and understanding of a VP sales about what's going on with his team. Are people aligned with the playbook? Maybe my playbook is not good, and so far I didn't know if there is a correlation between my playbook to the results and the performance of the team. So now I can measure it and I can change the playbook on a daily basis and to A/B test it and to change and to see. And I think that from the perspective of the alignment and consistency, this is a whole new world that we are now building for VPs.
What is the most amazing feedback from salespeople about the
Uh,
product?
yeah, so I think one of them said that I don't know if I'm allowed to use the F word, but it was like F word, F word. That's awesome. Like no hands, something like that.
Hands free.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you talked about your journey. So, what are you planning to double down? What's the road ahead?
So I think that the first thing is to expand our customer base as wide as we can, as fast as we can. In order to do this, we are planning to support also other video conferences, also dialers. Today we support HubSpot CRM and Salesforce CRM. So this is from the CRM perspective, we are covering like 60+% of the market. So on that end, I think that expanding the platform for other video conferences and other dialers is the next step. I will try to explain why, because when we will be supporting dialers, for example, we will be able to support a company from SDR till customer support. So the idea is that every customer facing person on a company will use WINN.AI, will use and will utilize the fact that we are now like, I don't know, 80% of our communication is based on digital channels. Why not to augment, use AR on those channels? Why should we wait for the meta of Mark Zuckerberg or whatever it is? If we can do it today, why not to have conversation utilizing AI today with customers, with candidates for HR, with, we can, this is where we're heading.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Interesting. By the way, what is easier, doing a sales call or like face to face sales transactions?
It's interesting. I think that one of the differences I see is, for example, if I will fly to the US and set time for a meeting, by default, it will be 1 hour. A sales call today, a Zoom call, will not be more than 30, 40 minutes. Now, that's interesting because when you're limiting the time, and it comes from the fact that, being on a Zoom call for more than an hour, it's tedious, and you have a Zoom fatigue, yeah? When I'm reducing 20% of the 20 to 40% of the call, usually it will be much harder to build a relationship, like a solid relationship, to ask you about your partner, and ask you about, how are your parents and things like that, which is the not the core selling, but really the core building relationship. So I think from this kind of perspective, that's different. So you need to be more straightforward. You need to be more value oriented. So it's different. 100% that's different.
Yes, I agree with those points. Like, it's time bounded, so you really have to really be mindful of the time, the value you give. Right. Okay. So, is there any salesperson that you're most influenced by?
Wow. I don't know. I need to think about it. You have like a legend like John McMahon from Snowflake. You have people like Mark Roberge from HubSpot. You have Mark Rainey from Andreessen Horowitz. You have lots of inspiration. But I'm taking also inspiration from my salespeople. I'm learning. I believe that I have something to learn from anyone and everyone, and whatever the experience is. I think that sometimes experience is not a good thing. Sometimes it's an amazing thing, and sometimes it can put you in structured mindset, and it's really hard to change it. So
Okay. Is there any sales philosophy that you got from them, or you want to tell us or share sales tactics we need to learn in 2022?
I think that to be focused and be focused on true understanding of the needs of the other side, which is many times contra-intuitive because we want to sell and we want to pitch and we want to, okay, this is what we can help you and this is how we can help you and this is how we can help you. But try to really understand why are we talking today, or why did you agree to meet me? And that's a challenge to do because it's counterintuitive. But I think that this will end up with the best results.
So really understanding, listening.
Listening.
Okay,
It's
wow.
a general tip for life. Listen more and speak less.
Yes, that's why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Right? Okay, so wow, is there any other questions that I didn't ask that you want to share with our viewers or listeners?
Be nice to each other. I don't know. No, all good.
Well, kindness, relationships draw sales like conversions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you can complete this sentence, since you are on the I Am podcast, I am Eldad.
Wow. I'm an entrepreneur by heart, for sure.
Eldad, an entrepreneur by
It
heart.
sounds like sounds like a cliche, but that's right. But that's true. And I'm sorry about being cliche from time to time.
I saw your post that, I mean, you were, what's that? 1 year without salary, right?
Yeah.
So I know that you have learned a lot from that. And you mentioned your wife. This is the time you can shout out people, like people you've helped or who helped you.
First of all, to my wife, Ronnie, she's amazing, and she's my true partner, and that's for sure. And I think that each and every person along my journey, whether it's today, whether it's about in the past experience, I'm thankful and I appreciate what people have done for me, and I don't take for granted. And once again, that's also something very interesting to say, that when people help me, I don't take it for granted. I don't expect people to help me by default. So when person helps me, I'm grateful for that. And if they jump on a call and tell me, ABC, I'm grateful for that. And if they connect me to another person, I'm grateful for that. And if they help me to close a deal, I'm happy with them, and I'm thankful for that. For each one of the people along my way that helped me, I'm grateful.
To those who would like to close more deals with their hands off the keyboard, how can they reach you?
WINN.AI. That's straightforward. Go there and on social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter to some extent. I'm very accessible. Feel free to approach me. Would love to speak with you.
So bold, playful, and easy. Thank you very much, Eldad.
Thank you, Mariah. It was a pleasure.
This podcast is powered by IAMOps.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with IAMOps.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.iamops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.iamops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.